I'm reporting for TTNHD Production Live here at Technicolor Studios in downtown Toronto with Igal Hecht. What inspired you to get into the entertainment business?
I always liked telling stories since I was a child, and I'm not the greatest writer out there. So another way of telling stories is through visual means, and just loved filmmaking from ever since I can remember myself. And so when I was about 13, got my first camera, and sort of started from there. It just kind of snowballed and never looked back.
What were some of your first movies about when you were 13 years old making films?
You know what? I remember my first film was for a grade 11 media class somewhere here in Toronto, and my first film was about a father who kills his daughter.
Oh.
But it wasn't my film, mind you. It wasn't my story. We had to take a story that we read for class, and we had to make a movie about it. So funny enough, it was about a psycho killer. Huh. Well, not thinking about it, but I sort of left fictional after I graduated from film school and just strictly stuck with documentary filmmaking and television shows.
Has it been what you expected it to be?
Yes and no. I mean, I wanted to always do fiction, but I found my home and my place with documentaries, and it's been challenging. That's for sure, but it's been wonderful. So you know, I don't know if when I first started, I thought to myself that I'm going to be getting shot at or beaten up or traveling all over the world and doing this for a living, but it's been great.
What's been the most rewarding part about making documentaries?
Talking to people. Really, the most rewarding part is talking to people. Basically, like what you're doing right now. I think I've met over the last 15 years thousands and thousands of people from all over the world, and really, that's really been the most rewarding part. And you know, getting to go to film festivals and flying places for free. That's always been good.
What projects are you most proud of?
My last year, I made a project I made into hot dogs and was shown nationally in Canada. It was just sold in Europe to a few channels, and it was called the Hilltops. And it took about 3.5 years to make, and it was shot all over the West Bank and in Israel. And I'm very proud of that film because there was no funding for it initially, and myself and my camera operator in Israel, Lior Korn, just went for it and shot for 3.5 years. Sort of traveled all over and got ourselves into crazy situations, and it was amazing.
Shooting for 3 years, you must gather an insane amount of footage. How do you start the editing process?
The editing process is what I love the most. I'm usually an editor myself. I get hired around town as an editor, so that's what I believe. I'd like to think that I excel at, and it's very hard. At first, obviously, I do what everybody else does. You start scanning the footage. We shot about 110 hours, which at the end of the day we only used up 40, and that was the hardest part, deciding what the story is going to be. We knew what the story. I think halfway through the shooting, I changed the whole dynamics of the movie and decided to focus in on a particular set of women. So at that point, we knew who our characters were, and so we just focused on that, and that narrowed down the field. And then you start logging the footage, and you go through it, and you just pick the best parts and the most powerful parts. Not even the best parts, but sometimes you have so many great parts but they're not really saying anything new. You're repeating yourself 10,000 times. So you pick the most powerful part, and then you move on.
What's the most challenging part of being a documentary filmmaker?
I think being a Canadian documentary filmmaker is slightly different than being a documentary filmmaker in the States. Lack of funding is always challenging. I think it's challenging for everyone, but in Canada especially, we don't have that many funding resources, unfortunately. So trying to make a film, especially internationally, I rarely shoot in Canada. Most of my films are international. Is very hard, and so I think funding is the hardest part. But at the same time, you know, if you really want to make a film, you're going to find ways to do it.
What advice would you give to someone following in your footsteps?
Don't follow in my footsteps. Don't fund your own projects. But basically, just be very, very honest with yourself and do the film that you want to do. And if somebody doesn't want to give you funding, I don't believe in waiting for funding. I own my own equipment, I own my own gear. I wear 7 different hats when I do a production. And if you really, really believe in your project, you're just going to go ahead and do it. Invest some of your own money, and if if you do that, people are going to take you more seriously, and it's a labor of love, and that's going to come off and come through. I mean, and people are going to really, hopefully, look at your film, and then you'll be able to make money off it. So I guess that's the best advice I have. But at the same time, if you're smart, you wouldn't do anything like I said.
Where's the best place to find out more information on you and on your projects online?
My website is chutzpahproductions.com, and that's CHUTZPA productions.com, and Facebook, Google, pretty much the standard places.
Okay. Well, congratulations on all of your successes so far, and best of luck with all of your upcoming projects.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm Katie Uhlmann reporting for TTN HD Production Live here at Technicolor Studios in downtown Toronto.